Boyd Broncos did not have an off week. They were too busy winning their district opener over Lakeview Centennial in Garland, 58-14, as Don Drake joins us now. And Don, this was a 21-14 game in the third quarter. Your team was able to rattle off the final 37 points. How did you like how your team was able to finish?
I thought we finished really, really well, and I thought we started well Thursday too. I mean, I thought we had a pretty good first quarter. The second quarter, defensively, we'd been playing great the whole ball game. We ended up roughing the punter, gave them a first down. They drove down and scored. You know, and I told the kids at halftime I thought we lost a lot of our intensity level in the second quarter. You know, and I really challenged them. And then in the third quarter, they came out and hit us early, and then we just regained the lead, regained composure, and I thought played a great third and final quarter.
We take a look back Thursday night at Homer B. Johnson Stadium in Garland, the Boyd Broncos and the Lakeview Centennial Patriots. Lakeview coming in at 0-3. They had two narrow losses the week before. Pretty good team under Don Willis. Brian Driscoll had another stellar night for you. He approached 300 yards once again. Driscoll is showing the consistency that you want from a workhorse back.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, and the thing that Brian showed the other night that I thought was outstanding was his breakaway speed. You know, which we've not seen a lot of that through last year and the early part of this season. But he showed several times the other night his ability to run away from defenders.
Yeah, you had said he had worked on that in the offseason. He shaved his 40 time down about 0.2 of a second, and he's emerging as a breakaway threat. Cameron DeSalle nearly broke away from Marquise Denmark on this long pass from Curtis Ladd. DeSalle taking it inside the 20. Ladd would find him again, and what an adjustment in the end zone by DeSalle.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal catch. You know, and I didn't realize how good a catch it was until I saw the film the next day and realized, man, he had to make quite a bit of an adjustment to get to that one.
Reaching back to pluck that ball off the turf, as your team was able to put together back-to-back touchdown drives to open things up. It looked like this would turn into a rout, but your offense started to lag in the second quarter. You were able to rely on Brian Driscoll, though, to keep things going.
Yeah, we did, and it's like I said just a second ago. I mean, I thought our intensity level dropped a little bit, which in turn drops your execution somewhat, and we did experience a lull there in the second quarter. Luckily for us, we were able to find it again in the third.
DeMarcus Hall was a jitterbug-type back. You're able to corral him, Curtis Ladd with the keeper here. But Hall, number 6 for Lakeview, you held him to 56 yards on 20 carries. That was certainly a big achievement by your defense. This was a tide turner late in the first half. Bad snap. It had been an adventure for punter William Reese, fielding those snaps all night, able to stop him. A loss of 32. Next play, Ladd firing to Dylan Dickman. You're up 2 scores.
Yeah, that was a huge momentum swing right there, right before halftime to give us a 2-touchdown lead headed into the half.
And a nice pass breakup to start the second half as Jarvis Baxter was looking for that reception in the end zone, but you're able to break up that one to keep him out of the end zone. And how about this little run by Brian Driscoll after the catch? Your offense, I thought one of the big stories besides Driscoll, as we see him take it around the right end and sprint down the sideline for a score, I thought the big story was Curtis Ladd developing as a passer. Ladd throwing 4 touchdown passes.
No doubt. I mean, he threw for over 200 yards for the first time this season, threw for several scores. You know, that was a facet of our game that we obviously needed to see improvement in, and I thought we did the other night.
Jared Semank booting a 42-yard field goal. Yeah, you like him from 35 to 40 yards, even 45 if you need him.
Yeah, and we had a good win behind us the other night, and so I felt like at that distance, that was a makeable distance for him, and as you saw, he had some left in his leg there too.
Here's Driscoll once again breaking away from the Lakeview defense. He scored 3 touchdowns in the span of 5 minutes in the third quarter, going for 58, 32 yards, and 47 yards. A memorable third quarter for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. That's really where we took control of the game, extended our lead, and I think represented ourselves very well in the third quarter.
Denton Edwards back to pass once again, and your defense is able to surround his receivers. You were expecting an I-formation attack, and pretty early on, Lakeview abandoned that. They went to the spread, which you saw last year.
Yeah, and they had some success with number 81, throwing the football to him, and I think, after we pretty much handled their rushing attack, they felt like the best chance they had was to spread it out a little bit and try to get the ball in that kid's hands.
Once again, here's Hall. You collapsed on him all night long. Hall had a 100-yard game against Sulphur Springs a couple of weeks back, but nothing doing there. Meanwhile, Driscoll just keeps trucking as Ladd fires to the left side, and Driscoll takes it in 16 yards out, his 5th touchdown of the night. He had 5 touchdowns against North in the opener, and overall he's got 15 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, he's had a phenomenal first half of the year so far. Hopefully we can keep that going.
Even Calvin Howard getting in on the act late in the game. You love Howard as your number 2. He starts at slot now, but you love him when he lines up as running back.
There's no doubt. He does some great things with the ball in his hands as well, and moving him out to that slot position allows us to get the ball in his hands even more.
And Ladd finding Colby Vincent for the final score of the game, 26 yards. Ladd, 13 of 20 for 214 yards and 4 touchdowns. You have balance. The first couple of weeks in the season, you were averaging 300 yards rushing and about 100 yards passing. You move the ball however you can, and your strength is going to be rushing the football. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to have some balance now, to have a passing threat.
There's no doubt, and that's hugely important to what we can do. I mean, if they stack the box, we've got to be able to make the throws and make the receptions that we need, and I thought we did that the other night. They came into the ball game, established themselves to stop their running game. And we were able to spread the ball out, hit them with a couple of big plays. They loosened up a little bit, and then we were able to get Brian going.
Driscoll ends up with 276 yards, 4 touchdowns on 24 carries. He had 1 touchdown reception as well. He's named the Dallas Morning News Offensive Player of the Week. I find that interesting a week after he goes for a school record, 340 yards on 40 carries. But the story is that Driscoll could be the Offensive Player of the Week in this area for any game that he puts together.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And then we as coaches, even when we talk on the weekends about who our players of the week were, I mean, Brian's one of those that we could give it to him every week, with those kind of performances. But Brian, what's great about Brian is he understands it is a team concept. He understands those guys up front are doing a great job for him. He's one of the most humble kids I've ever met, and so it's great to see a kid of his character, compete and be able to find that success.
He's our Student Athlete of the Week this week. What about his involvement with the PALS organization? That, again, speaks to his character.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, Brian's just, he's a great kid. He's a great student academically. He carries almost a 3.9 GPA. He's in our PALS organization. He's a person of service. I mean, he volunteers in the community with Garage Giveaway and other activities that 3E McKinney does. The PALS organization is another way for him to get into the schools, to work with kids. I mean, that's just his nature. That's who he is, and he's such a great student athlete. I mean, he's phenomenal.
Going in, you didn't worry that much that your team would look past Lakeview. Now you don't have to worry about any of that. Garland High is here, the big challenge early in the district schedule. The Owls were the only team to beat you in the district season a year ago. A tight ball game at Williams Stadium, 21-14. What do you see from Garland this year?
Well, Garland's Garland. I mean, they're very fast, and that's one of the things that you notice right away when you watch them play, whether it's on film or you watch them in person. They have a lot of speed on the field, and so you have to be able to match that. You have to be able to match that speed, play fast yourself. You really have to execute. They're a good football team. They're a tradition-rich football program. And I think last year when we took the field against them, we didn't really know what to expect with Garland, and there's some of that anticipation, I think, and, our kids went out and played hard and fought hard, and I think even though in the loss we walked away feeling like we can compete at this level, and so hopefully this year as we take the field with them, our kids come in with more confidence than they did a year ago, understanding that if we will go out and play and compete and play well, then we can walk off that field victorious.
What a unique mix for that Garland backfield. Quarterback Seth Russell, a Kansas commit, stands 6'5", right next to running back Malcolm Miller, who is 5'6", 235 pounds, nearly a foot shorter than his quarterback.
Yeah, he's like trying to tackle a bowling ball, because he's low in stature, but he's a big kid and he runs well and he's a very physical, punishing runner, and so you really have to wrap up his legs, and tackle him low, because if you hit him high, he's going to bounce off and he's going to keep going. And so he's a very physical runner. We have to get him contained at the line of scrimmage before he gets moving.
Meanwhile, Garland's defense, always known for flying around, Garland has been able to stack together 2 straight wins, including a district opening win over South Garland. 49-0 certainly grabs your attention, considering what South Garland did a year ago. That defense led by a linebacker in Damian Neros, who's headed to SMU.
Yeah, and they're a phenomenal defense, and they are led by him, and they've got several other kids that are playing right there with him that are fast and physical as well. And so it's like I said a second ago, you've got to be really good in your execution. You know, you've got to get that ball moving north and south, as we talk in football terms. If you're running east and west, they're running with you, and they're going to attack you behind the line of scrimmage. So we've got to fit up well, we've got to hit the hole, and we've got to execute if we intend to move the football.
Don, thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Don Drake, head coach of the Boyd Broncos. It is a colossal matchup early in the district season. The Boyd Broncos and the Garland Owls. Who will have the leg up early on in District 10 5A? It's the McKinney ISD Game of the Week on 97.5 KLAK. 7 o'clock airtime, 7:30 kick.